you almost immediately,
Thank you.
and you'll be able to toss it out, pass it along, use it
Mhm.
in any way
Mhm.
that you would like. There's no you know, no constraints whatsoever. Whatever you see fit to do, you'll be
Mhm.
able to do it with this conversation. So we
Right.
have in the background the gray beach and the gray sky, and honestly, maybe it's a sign that you're a true Oregonian if you're like, "Oh, let's go to the beach. There's gonna be a storm today, or there's gonna be huge waves. Let's go and look at them." Or it's gonna be really windy. That's okay. We'll just go in and out of the little shops. Or like me, unless it is really cold, I want my shoes off. I want to feel the
Mhm.
sand under my
Mhm.
feet and be amazed at the waves. Hi, Liz.
Hi,
I am so
Christine.
glad. This
Nice to
is
see you.
great.
Do I
Liz,
need
have
my
you
earplugs?
say again?
Am I echoing? Do I need my earplugs?
No, you aren't echoing at all.
It sounds okay. Okay, great.
Yes, and you look really organized because behind you,
Got my
I'm going to
calendar for
do
next year.
that.
Already
I am
booking.
going to do that. I have a map of our little tiny town. We have 10,000 people that are part of this town. I have that map up here just to kind of remind me of the businesses and things.
Uh-huh.
And I think I want to have this whole wall filled up like yours so I can stick things up there. Maybe I need to put up something metal and do magnets and I am in our living room. Maybe I shouldn't go completely hog wild. Liz, have you ever met Adrienne or Darlene
I
before
have not.
that you
Nice
remember?
nice to meet
Nice.
y'all for sure. Sorry, I'm
Yeah. Nice
got a
to
little
meet you,
early.
Liz.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Ooh. Was that a fair see, I accidentally left all three of you in our group message along with my hubby producer, the one who said, you need to, oh no, I'll never do this stuff. And of course, that's all changed. Um, in the group message, I accidentally left it up and put in what I was sending to people. I tell you, if they have a green dot, even a green circle on LinkedIn, I'm going to
Mhm.
tell them about who's coming onto the screen,
Mhm.
Right.
in case
That's
they have a
good.
moment would like to drop in and don't want to miss their opportunity
Mhm.
to just say, "Hi, it's you," because I've literally had people that I would love to have them be a guest someday, and they've said, "Oh, you're having so and so. Oh, I wish I had time today. I want to be on the screen the same day. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can
Yeah.
rearrange things." And one gal was on the screen the same time. I'm like, whoever was their other commitment, I hope they didn't know. I know. I was like, gee, which one do I want to be with during that hour? But anyway,
Mhm.
I accidentally sent it to you. Was it a fair summation, or is there a better, more excellent summation? I said that Darlene is an author,
Mhm.
that Adrienne is a radio host,
Mhm.
and I said, Liz, that you're a podcaster. And Liz, I have had several interactions with. Um, Anybody can jump in and just expand on that. Everyone's always got something more going on. But do you even call yourself a podcaster, Liz?
Well, more of live streaming. I started
Oh.
as a podcaster,
Mhm.
and internet radio, 15
Mhm.
years ago. And then we switched over to podcasting. And now we've gone to live streaming since COVID, and I was the same way. I didn't want to get on. I was like, no, no, no. And our friend Russ Johns, as some of you may know, said, you've got to do this. And so anyway, uh, so we actually have two shows that we've done for the last 2 years. we have an author show because I do publishing too. We help other people publish, and then I have 15 books myself, and so we have the author adventure, and then I have Wild West Diversity, which is the other part of my life. I am the executive director for Cowboys of Color Rodeos, which is the largest multicultural rodeo in the country. And so we do a tour through the Southwest, Oklahoma City, Fort Worth, Dallas, Mesquite, State Fair, a couple of things at the State Fair. And so Dallas. And we've been doing that for about 30 years. But my little partner, I didn't know if he was going to retire and if his boys were going to take over or not. So, and we've always published our educational programs through Wild West Diversity, which is our educational arm of what we do. And so, so anyway, we go out and tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions, Black, Hispanic, and women, mostly per se, that weren't told in the history books that you're not going to hear at school. And the historical characters you might hear about or know, but you're not going to know the living legends, the people that are alive today that are keeping that legacy alive. And there's a huge underground community. I mean, we have 500, contestants and their families, and so, there's that whole underground culture of people that actually do still have farms and ranches. And a lot of our guys are from the city, and they just are good athletes, and they just like animals, and they've figured out a way, to be close in around the animals. And so it's not an inexpensive sport, but it's, but the people that do it they're rabid about it. It's like anything you're fired up about, they get bucked off, they get back on, they get hurt the next week or 2 weeks later, they get back on again. It's like, you got to be about half crazy, but but anyway, so lots of fun stuff going on. And of course, the holidays, more books are bought in November and December than any other time of year. All the rest of the year. And so we're obviously pushing all our books. We have about 65, 70 books, our authors that we've worked with over the years. And so we're posting that kind of like the 20 days of Christmas or the 30 days of Christmas instead of the 12 days, and trying to post, each of our client books in addition to, and, because we do mostly children's and nonfiction. I have a couple of fiction, but not very much. So, but anyway, if you need authors or you need people, if you want people to come and talk about any subject, we probably have somebody.
Oh my goodness.
News, children's books, health, farming, urban farming.
What a perfect segue. I mean, you're like, well, when I was doing radio, and here's Adrienne, and well, my 15 books and these bunches of authors. And then of course you're speaking my language because you're saying the living legends. And I'm like, so historically they were performing, they were doing, horse everything for their farms, their ranches. And I'm going, some of your best friends must be in their 70s, 80s,
90s. Yeah, my rodeo partner is 84.
Wow.
And our judges, we've got 2 judges, and they're both probably 75, 78. My rodeo partner actually roped up to 79. And then he pulled his arm. He had a bone in his neck that kind of separated, and so they really didn't want him, raising his hand over his head on a rope. Although he did it a few times for some video stuff. And the first time he picked the rope up and threw it out, after being off for a year, he caught him like not a real calf. We had a dummy calf, set up in the arena, and he was telling his boys kind of what to do, and they were filming it, and so he was giving them pointers. And of course he grabbed that rope up, threw it out there and caught the calf first thing, and there was about 50 people standing around, and they went, "Oh my God!" They couldn't believe he was 82 then, I guess. So yeah, it's like you say, he got up every day and that's what he did was rope calves. That's all he wanted to be was a cowboy. And people are funny, they ask him all the time, well, Mr. Hearn, how long you been a black cowboy? And he said, well, I've been black all my life, but I've been a cowboy since I was about 9.
How true.
So, but let me, I don't want to take up all the time, but I'm certainly glad to be on and seniors, and I tell people about Christine all the time because I was sharing with her because I had one of my clients was talking about his, his folks. They're having to, take care and make some decisions about the folks. And I said, you need to get Christine's books or you need to go listen to the Aging Better Network and let them make some of those decisions themselves while they still can, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great service and not nearly, we don't take care of our elderly nearly as well as we should, I think, in our country.
Wow.
But anyway, but yeah, we've got lots. And that's why we tell the stories because, a lot of those people actually live the lifestyle and they're still living it today, but in a different way. But our early guy, our 90s and 100-year-old people, they made their own medicine, they made their own dolls and toys and tools and everything because they couldn't run to Walmart or they couldn't run to like we can, the town and pick up something. Town was 60 miles away and they had a mule or maybe if they were lucky, a wagon and or walking, and so but that's how we got into telling those stories because we were losing them people and we wanted to be able to tell their stories before they got lost. And so, but it's always fun. And booking publishing is always fun, as you probably know. Darlene, it's a process. It's ongoing.
It's a journey. It's a journey for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Darlene, please tell us about your journey. I always say your path to this point, and you can talk about your path past this point all you want. I just know that you wrote something and that people have paid attention to it. I don't even know how long ago, because I don't really research the people when they come on the screen, because I really do just want them to come to my table and go and give me the opportunity. And of course, our audience, especially in replays. Oh my goodness. A couple thousand people go and each month and look at, what's next or, what came up next in these. And I'm just thinking, do they feel as enriched as I do? And then I find out that some of the people I've had on the screen got, I'll just say got gigs with someone else because they were like, that person has something of substance. Why haven't I had them come into my arena? And I think, they're a big deal. I'm a former hired caregiver who's going, I love this information. It's the information I wish I had last decade. So, Darlene, you obviously had an experience and didn't want it, what you took from that to fade away afterwards. So please, yes.
Well, my journey was not atypical. I grew up as a corporate buyer, Fortune 500 companies, ended up going into real estate later on when the market was really looking good. And then when everything seemed to be going the way I thought I would have planned it to go, I got thrown into a caregiving role. And it's not something we ever plan for. You hear people say, well, you're either going to be a caregiver, you're going to need a caregiver, at one point in your life. And it's so true. And the first person that I was thrown into this role with was my father-in-law. My husband was a pilot, so he was gone half of the month. And it was a choice of, well, he gives up his job or I give up mine. And it came to me, and I did it gladly, and it was very short-lived. He had liver cancer, was not with us for very long, but I felt at that point in time that I was able to make an impact with him in a way that I had not been able to impact anyone else in the career that I had chosen for my life. And that escalated then once he passed away. Then my mother-in-law needed help. She was getting up there in age, and I was at wit's end because I still had, kids to take care of and, household to run. And we took a different option then because she literally wanted to have more of a social life, and just being with me was not what she was needing. She was a social butterfly. So we had a very nice place that was able to put her into independent living where she could still be with friends and still make new friends, and went through the whole process of independent living into assisted living, and from assisted living into full care for a period of about 9 or 10 months. So I got to see what that side of caregiving was all about. And after she passed away and my life was kind of getting back to normal, and I got a call one day from my mom and dad, actually from my father. My mom was sleeping. They lived out in Connecticut at that time. And he said, how about Mom and I move back to Illinois? And I was not on a real close relationship with my mom and dad. Birthdays, holidays, talk every once in a while, send some pictures of the kids, things like that. And I was like, Dad, you guys lived here before. You hated it. There's no beach. It's still hot. It's flat. There's no mountains. And I knew something wasn't right. And when my husband came home a couple days later from a flight, he's like, there's something that your parents need. And we did this for my mom and dad. So just tell them to move out. We'll figure it out. Well, little did I know at that point in time is my mom was already suffering from dementia. And when you're not in contact with your parents as frequently as maybe we should be, you miss a lot of those signs, and especially over the phone, you're not going to see them. They're so good at hiding all of those things. So they came out, and I worked with my dad to take care of my mom. And we found them a beautiful apartment real close to us, where they could get what is called here in Illinois, and I think it's in Texas too. It's called supportive living, a little bit different than assisted living. Supportive living is it's like assisted living in that they have meals and they have cleaning facilities, but if you need help with medications and stuff, it's there for you. But Medicare is only billed for the actual things that you need. So it's a lot less expensive for the states to do supportive living. And my dad was able to live in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mom and still have some cooking facilities, food available, staff if he needed some help. But he was able to live with her the entire time through her dementia up until the day she passed away. And then he passed away 5 months later. So one of the things he had told me was, when I pass, I've been journaling for 6 years now, every day, 24/7, what's going on. And there was an educator there called Helen Brown that does a lot of traveling throughout the country and speaks to caregivers at facilities on how to notice different signs and how to interact and how to deal with aggression. And she had encouraged my dad to take his journaling seriously, and felt that there was a lot of information in there that is only going to come from a caregiver's perspective that is there around the clock. And so, of course, as a good daughter, I told him, yeah, sure, I'll make sure this turns into a book. Well, the only type of writing I had ever done was for a period of 3 years when I wrote editorials for a German-American newspaper that was a national newspaper. This was a lot different. Needless to say, he had 12 spiral-bound notebooks with just the most horrific penmanship. But he did journal every day. And I needed to find someone to type all of that up in a Word document. So I did locate someone that was kind enough to do that. And I did not really read his journaling until after she got done with it. So she was the first person to read the insight into my dad. And wow, when I read it, I knew I was in for a really long journey. And long story short, my turn from corporate ended up taking me to caregiving, and caregiving took me into 2.5 years of putting together Get in the Boat. So
Wow.
that's my journey so far.
Wow. Turn of events.
Yeah. So I always say, aging is
Mhm.
really, it's not just about embracing
Mhm.
and leading the most fulfilling life that we
Mhm.
have, or most productive
Mhm.
life. It's,
Mhm.
we play a role in this life, I always say, and the ability to be able to adapt to change as it's
Mhm.
thrown your way, and how
Mhm.
we evolve during that change is really going to be our true impact here on earth.
Wow. Excellent.
How we adapt.
That's
Yeah.
excellent. Excellent.
So yeah, so I've been I self-published on Amazon in September.
Mhm.
So I have been spending hours and hours trying to get the word out there, and marketing, and doing book signings, and
Mhm.
chatting with Betsy, and now with you, and whoever will hear the story, because I think there's a lot of stories out there from a journey that an individual has with dementia,
Right.
but especially from a caregiver's perspective,
Mhm.
and from a man's perspective, and how it wasn't just his choices in a lot of how he did his caregiving, because you are also influenced by a facility and what their dynamics are, and how to work the family and the
Mhm.
corporate and all of that together.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting journey.
Wonderful.
You
Well,
said Betsy.
Yeah, chatting with Betsy. Have you ever?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
In
was
fact,
looking, I'm
I
looking back going, where's her
just sent.
last name?
Okay, so her link, she just sent me yesterday, so I have to put that up today too. So yeah, I haven't done it. We chatted about a month ago. So yeah, that was fun. She's awesome.
Yeah, it was just a number of weeks ago. Where is she? I'm looking through my little paper thing. But Betsy was also kind enough to come in to a group conversation a number of
Oh,
weeks
cool.
ago. And I'm like, Betsy. So I had just been watching what she puts out. And, you know, once someone gets on the screen, you get these little details that don't come out in a social post,
right.
you know, of how things came together. Liz and Adrienne and I just went on an emotional journey with you
Yeah.
because yes, we don't grow up and then continue in our adulthood, you know, getting our you know our hobbies and our passions and
Mhm.
our yeah, you know, just earnings and, you know, whatever it is that we do that makes us a whole person,
Yeah.
there's really never this wedge that says, "And as I grow older, and
Mhm.
as
Exactly.
somebody that relies upon me or somebody that I would be concerned about
Mhm.
hits what I call aspects of aging, because it
Mhm.
isn't always a problem, but there are times when you're desperate for a solution, and oi, it's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very.
people who you're just admiring and they go, "You know what? Truth is, I didn't get along all that great with
Mhm.
that person
Mhm.
through all those years, you know,
Mhm.
maybe didn't feel like there was an ease in
Mhm.
that relationship. And now all of a sudden I'm just inside of this bubble. And that's just that is just living. That's just
Yeah.
continued living. And
Yeah.
I love it that you were like, oh, this is what my dad experienced, felt, decided,
Oh yeah, he was raw.
grappled with when it got typed up by this person who's going, I think that's what he was. We'll
Right.
say that that's the word that he meant.
Oh yeah, my dad was one never to have a filter. And needless to say, there are things about their relationship I really did not want to know.
Yeah.
But I think people need to know. So I just left it in.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Amazing. Both of you have amazing stories.
Oh, I'm
Amazing.
sure
Darlene,
we
are you
all
already
do.
connected with All's authors, ALZ, All's authors?
I just started poking into that. Yeah.
They're gonna be on in January, so you can poke some more
Oh, okay.
in January.
Okay.
I don't know, keep tune in next
Yeah,
month
I will.
and see. So we did something with them. Short story, Christine, short. We did an Amazon live because my husband was given Amazon. No, am I doing it the right thing? Anyway, so that you could have things down below, like books in the carousel that people can be ordering and clicking on, and so we had them on screen to Giving Tuesdays in a row. And this year we didn't because we had already planned a trip and it was just not in our brain. But I appreciate that a couple of people just met each other and said, hey, there needs to be a caregiving, particularly dementia.
Right.
There needs to be a platform where people can go and go, I need that. I need a memoir to see if I'm doing things right. Is this what other people experience? I need a book so that I can say to my grandchild, this is why grandma was yelling at us the other day. And
Right.
it just is part of a disease, just
Right.
like medication or other things that are unpleasant that would happen after an injury or a condition or a germ or a disease. It's just a fact and it's
Right.
not about us, but it sure feels like it.
Right. Right.
So oh goodness, Adrienne,
Yeah.
I bet there's been some things that have been talked about that have made you go, oh yeah, oh this, oh I had a person on my radio show.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell us about you?
Yeah. Everything is such a journey as I listen to both Liz and Darlene. So many things resonate by having so many older adults as friends. They start off as clients or, just wonderful seniors that have been in my spaces to now they hold a special place in my heart. And, my own family, as we have different caregiving scenarios all over the place. I have a big family, especially on my mom's side, and in our own immediate families, there's different caregiving roles that are taking place. Children and grandchildren are stepping in. Like yourself, Darlene, your story sounds similar to my mother's, in that, her and my grandmother, they didn't have this wonderful mother-daughter relationship. And so all of a sudden she stepped in as a caregiver. Luckily, my grandmother, when she was alive, only needed oversight mostly or supervision or someone to be in the home. And so she was able to manage most of 80% of her day on her own. But it was still almost a strain because it wasn't a loving foundation there before, my mom came in. But just my story, in a complete nutshell, I tell people I started off caregiving. I was born into caregiving is what I tell people. And I had to sit back and think about it myself because I'm like, I actually was born into caregiving. But, my grandmother on my mother's side, my mom's mom, she cared for my grandfather from the time they got married because he was diagnosed with MS right at the beginning of their marriage. And so that in the 50s was just a sit back and watch and see how it goes. There weren't any steroids or any advanced medications to give MS patients to slow the progression of the disease. So when I was born, he was fully dependent. He was legally blind. He was in a wheelchair. We had to feed him, help bathe him. So at 2, I was helping, feed my grandfather and helping my grandmother with different things when I would come, for visits in summer. So I could start right there with it. But that right there, being around my grandmother and her sister, my love for older adults grew. And so when I, came out of undergraduate, I went into public relations for an engineering company. And when I would talk to my grandmother, by this time, my grandfather had passed. She's retired from her position, but she worked at a senior center. And I'm in this engineering firm, and they are quiet. You can hear a needle drop, and they're on this end. When I'm talking to her, they are live. It is music. They are excited, and I said, I want to be there. I don't want to be here. So that sparked my interest in seeking out advanced degree in gerontology. And since I've been in the official gerontology space, because they gave me piece of paper for it, it has been a ride. It has been eye-opening. I've learned so much. It's been exciting because I can help those close around me. I can help my family, able to help my grandmother as she, aged and everything. But it also helped me see the gaps and where services were not meeting the seniors and the caregivers that needed it. It helped me see on the business side of things how some people, they're in a senior industry, they're in a senior business, but at the same time, they really don't have that heart and compassion for seniors, and so I got a chance to see so many things, which brought me to create my own lane as well, what I like to tell people. And so, I tell people I'm a gerontologist on and off the court, 25/8, not 24/7, because we get calls in the middle of the night on how to help people. Caregivers need help. I get texts. It's not just on a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. This is every single day, Saturday and Sunday. And so, with this hat, it led me into my space, into being the Zero Juice radio host, because I said, hey, I know podcasts and everything are great, but I still have a large group of seniors who continue to listen to the radio.
Right.
And so, and they're comfortable listening to the radio, even though, we can stream it and it's on an app and everything, but that's their comfort space if we want to take the history of radio back to those early 20th century. And so, creating this space on radio, I've brought many of my community partners and relationships that I've had on the show to speak about what they're doing and how they're helping, seniors in and around, not just Atlanta, but everywhere, because my guests come from all over the country. Then I have a hat that I wear in a collegiate space. And, I'm, teaching students about what it is to be a gerontologist. Working with seniors is not just nursing homes or direct care. Because many people think that when I say, well, I work with older adults, they think direct care automatically. And I'm like, no, it's so many different things you can do in the space of gerontology. You don't have to come into this space, certified with a certificate and everything, because I see that going around. But, like you said, Darlene, your journey, your lived experience, you're a gerontologist. You learn things that
you do.
many people that, I will say many MDs, they don't know. They may know the clinical side of things, but they don't know the social side of things and those social determinants of health that really impact a person. When they leave your office, this person goes home and they don't have food, and they live in a food desert, and they don't have transportation, and they don't have a large support or aging network to help them. So I concentrate on things like that when it comes to my seniors, because those make every bit of a difference. And if you listen to my show, you'll hear me say, age on purpose, age successfully, age unapologetically. And aging, like you said, aging looks completely different on everyone. It will look completely different. It doesn't matter what size, shape, color you are. You're going to have your own unique story about aging. And Darlene, your experience with your in-laws and with your parents, that is going to shape your aging experience.
Yeah.
My experience with my grandmother, the seniors in my family, my mom, I'm the type of person, like, I'm a visual learner, and I learn by hearing other people's experiences. So when I see things like, let me make sure I don't do that when I get in my 50s. Let me make sure I don't do that when I get in my 60s. I've learned from watching you that may not be a good idea. So all these things that I've learned, it has helped me, just come up with that saying, age successfully and age unapologetically. That means my way, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be ashamed of what happened in my 20s and 30s and 40s. I'm just going to share my story. I'm going to share it with a smile. I'm going to wake up every day, and it's going to just come as it comes.
Exactly.
So I get excited when I get in these spaces.
I had my parents at home. We were lucky in that we were able to do my parents at home with hospice care. My dad for 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's what they told us. They said most people wait too late to get help.
Yeah.
And
I mean, everybody doesn't have that luxury
years.
of having their parents at home, and they have to make tough decisions because they're like, I still have to go to work, and I still have to do this, and I still have to do that. And, what's going to happen if I stop working? So yeah, I try to condense the story down, but I serve my seniors, all of my seniors, just from a heart of compassion and empathy, and knowing that, hey, one day I may be in this space where I need somebody, I need services, I need somebody to help me, I need somebody to serve me. And what I tell some of my students, is nursing homes do not house older adults only. And I try to make that clear to everybody. You can have a stroke. I have cousins that have had strokes in their 30s. It could be a, unfortunate car accident, motorcycle accident that could land you in a nursing home. And I don't think people understand, hey, so many things could happen, but just take one day at a time in this life.
Yeah.
That's all we have is today.
That's all we have. And treat people kind. I've seen that come back many, many ways on many, many sides. And I know we've said it before. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 42. So, I everything that my parents said and parents taught me, it's really settling in now. It's settling in. What goes around comes around. So if it's kindness that you have spread in your early years, your young adult years, kindness is going to come right back around to you. And Darlene, I'm sorry, I keep calling you because your story sticks out to me so much in so many spaces when it comes to older adulthood and guardians and caregiving and elder abuse. And I've told people before that there are many children that are caring for parents that are caring for them out of resentment and out of hurt and out of vengefulness. And now that this parent may be in a vulnerable space, this child may use this time to get them back in some sort of way. Either that is directly or not having anything to do with them at all. So I've heard people say, you know, I don't understand how they could treat their parents like that, but I've seen another side. You don't know the other side to this story of what happened to this child when they were young, what was said, what was done, what form of abuse was in that home. People don't know what happened when those doors closed and when that child came home from school. So I try to tell people, have an open mind when you see things. Now we're seeing the seeds that were sown when this person was younger. Okay. And it may not be all like that all the time, but there's so many different things that go on. You might have a child that has a history of mental health issues that now they're in this position to care for a parent. I had one of my colleagues, she's friend now, but she works for Georgia Department of Health and Human Services under our forensic special initiatives unit, who goes out to see elder abuse cases with the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigations. And, you know, she speaks of so many different situations that have really been eye-opening to her, that have like kind of, you know, been impactful to myself and everyone she's shared, you know, stories with. So I don't mean to take the floor like that. It's just so much great things to say right now.
And you know, it's so interesting because, like you were saying, Adrian, it's every human being is so unique, and every care, you know, you could write thousands of books about everyone's journey, but everyone's journey, whether they are the person that's being taken care of or they are the caregiver. No two caregivers are the same. No two people needing caring are the same. So, you know, it's like you just throw it out there, and it's like you try to do the best you can with what you know at the time. And I find too many people are thrown into a caregiving role that never expected it or never gave thought to it, even though we all should be educated to the fact that that is a possibility. And once they're in there, they're in there, like you said, at a very late state. And they do not know where to get the resources. And a lot of times family is not there to support them, or friends seem to disappear. And all they know to do is the best they can with the tools that they have. Until there are more platforms like this and more radio programs to get the word out there and let people know that they did a great job with what they have, and where they can get tools, I think is so important, because I've even found after the fact, you tend to, when the person has passed away, start to educate yourself more. And that's when you start finding out, I could have, I would have, I should have. And that's when the remorse and the self-doubt and the, you know, sometimes the depression ends up filtrating into the caregiver, because they start questioning everything they did, but they didn't know what they knew when they got into it.
Yeah.
And that's so
Great
hard.
Great point.
You were talking about kindness, and I, for some reason, I thought kindness looks different in different situations. And I'm thinking the forceful advocate who seems, you know, they feel like all of the financial advisors and legal, you know, personnel and medical people are probably going, they're coming in again, and they're just so forceful about, you know, that this pain is not going away, and there's got to be something, you've got to find something else, or I don't know that everything's covered. I saw something on TV, and I just feel like we need more insurance or assurance or something, you know, that pushing kindness, the person who says there's got to be a better, see, that's, it's not completely new to me, but I have seen that acted out in situations when you were talking about, Darlene, you were talking about supportive, I'll just say community, because if you're in your home, there's ways and balancing acts and a kind of a dance and choreography about how you support each other and who needs support, and people calling each other care partners and what have you. But to be able to be together and get what you need, it's like the rest of your life. It isn't just now that there's, something like dementia or, palliative and hospice, or, a disease that you had a long time ago that now is rearing its head again as your cells have just been regenerating so many times that they're just having a hard time getting over that football injury, that head injury, whatever it was. I just, I everything that you all have said has been so important. I want to go on and on. I know it is better for everyone who comes to Aging Better Network as a resource spot if I take this moment and, whatever, go, it's time. I'm going to start with Darlene, go over to Liz, and then to Adrienne to tell us where we can find more. If you have a recommendation of, go here for more information, here is my book, here is how you get to, anything like that. This is your opportunity to give contact information and also something that you would recommend. So, Darlene, your book is called Get in the Boat.
Get in the Boat.
Yes.
Here we have it right here. My dad chose the title because he said he felt that he was a person that had to sit in her boat, and he could row some, but he couldn't navigate where it was going. He could just keep it from capsizing. He couldn't push it, pull it, just kind of go where she was taking him. And actually at one of the seminars, they put on a skit where Helen Brown was the person that was the person with dementia. And they pulled off a little skit like that to actually give a visual of what it was like. And I always like to say that, as a person of faith, faith doesn't necessarily take us out of the problem.
No.
It helps us get through the problem. It helps us get through the pain. And it gives us the ability to handle whatever is thrown our way. So, with Get in the Boat, I always looked at it. Yeah, there were stormy times that my dad and mom had to go through, but even their faith was there and their vows were there, and it kept them going through the storm. Interesting read, a very easy read, raw, unfiltered, from a man's perspective. It's him doing it. The audiobook just came up on Amazon 2 days ago. So for people that really have a difficult time with reading, they can now have an audiobook, and it's the man that did it for me is just an amazing voice. But all of that information is a really easy place to go to. It's getintheboatbook.com. I am also on LinkedIn as Darlene Fuchs under my name. There's also a Facebook site, Get in the Boat. So lots of different ways to reach out. And I just hope that everyone, if nothing else, can learn from this. I had just a quick share. I had an email from a gentleman the other day from up in Canada. He had been a caregiver at one point in his life, but found himself in a marital situation with his wife, and read the book and told me if my dad could do it, he could put another 20 years into his life. So if this helps that one person, it was worth it all. So
You
enjoy.
made a difference in that life.
And that's
That is
all that matters.
worthwhile right there. Thank you
Yeah.
for
Ring that bell.
honoring your husband's. Yeah. Thank you for honoring your dad's dream of
You're
this ought to
welcome.
be this ought to be out there for people.
And I would just like to
And
say
wow.
it's just such a pleasure to be able to be together with all of you women and be able to share insightful perspectives on aging and have a platform where people feel they can come and be comfortable and not be told they're doing things wrong, but just have a creative platform to have meaningful discussion. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yay. Liz,
Yeah,
you
for
have
sure.
been an
Yeah.
advocate, a champion, a cheerleader for people writing something difficult, because you were
Right.
saying it, not so much fiction, but real stuff. You've also been just right alongside these people who are living into their longevity, have
Right.
it just this exciting, rich, not me. I'm scared of horses. I really am. I love them on the other side of the fence. They're quite majestic.
They look good. They look great. Yeah.
So you've been that for these people, and they have that whoo, I'm going to keep doing this. And they turn
Yeah.
and they
As
look
long
at
as I
you, they
can.
hear your voice, they get a message from you, and they're just like, I'm continuing on. I am continuing to live the life
Well,
that
and
I
health
choose,
is
thanks to you.
everything too, and making that connection. For us, it's about collective Western heritage. We all have that collective heritage. We have an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a great great uncle, or somebody that was maybe involved somehow, some way. From the books, one of our books is Because No One Asked, and it's really about childhood trauma, but it also is about, how do you, when you can't repair the relationship, or when the person is gotten to the point, health wise, where they're not able to respond as well, and how do you go through that process of forgiveness and letting go of those past traumas, that happen in your family. So there's a great book called Because No One Asked by Sarah Sewell, Sewell. We have another one, The Great Divorce Revolution by Tricia Shimoni. And basically, why do people divorce after 20 or 30 years? And we're seeing that more and more, and so it's, how do you continue to have good relationships, and how do you love yourself, and how do you set boundaries, and if you want to get into a new relationship after 30 years of being with the same person, that's very difficult. So lots of kind of guides and things like that. And obviously, if you're interested in writing, it's the authoradventure.com, capital THE, authoradventure.com. And if you want to go listen to some of our Wild West Diversity interviews, the same thing on YouTube. Both our shows are on YouTube at Author Adventure or at Wild West Diversity. And you'll get to see some of these folks. And the historical people, we tell their stories and share their photos, because they did pave the way for people today, that are able to do, like my boys, that my radio fellows, 4 sons. They said I was never told that I couldn't participate because of the color of my skin. And the only reason I never had that experience is because of my dad and his contemporaries, my dad and his friends, who were told they cannot rope or they cannot participate or compete because of the color of their skin. They got turned away. They got downgraded. They got, they knew, all the cowboys knew they were the best, but they didn't win the championships because they were judged improperly. And so, we need to tell those stories so that we all have this collective heritage, and we share in this collective heritage, and we were going to share in this care and concern for community too. We've got to do that as well. Like you say, it may be us that needs help, you know, next week or next month or next year. Because, like you say, I mean, you know, disease is no precursor of, as you said, you know, race or ethnicity or you know, economic status. Anybody can, you know, can have a disease. Anybody can catch COVID. Anybody can have diabetes. Anybody can have heart disease. Even if you look healthy, you may not be. So health is everything. So I appreciate so much that you ladies, that you're involved in that fight. We're in the fight. I love it. It's actually a political thing, but it says, you know, it's going to be much harder this year. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to do what's hard, you know, and that's what we do. We come from that place of being in it all our lives because we learn to do what's hard, you know, and we were always that, like you say, my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, they were the caretakers, you know, in our family. And you know, you learn it's hard not to, you know, to follow in their footsteps when you've had that example, you know, all your life. So I appreciate y'all very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to be with y'all and to learn and hear. And hopefully we'll be able to jump on maybe again after the first of the year on our shows and have y'all on our shows.
I have reunions. And I have to spread them over several weeks to you know, bring everyone in who wants to come back, maybe give an update. Adrienne did not surprise me at all when she turned and started writing, because Liz, also not a surprise, said, "Oh, we have a book about," and here she is. That I know this. That's what I love the way these happen. I really don't go, I better get these people together, because I'm sure that they have intersections. Because last week, two of the people on the screen had the exact same tumor.
Wow.
I'm so grateful that people are willing to come on and that they really realize that this is a casual conversation. Yes, aging is part of it, but aging is living. So we're just exchanging living stories, including ourselves. Wow, I am so grateful. Adrienne, you are in Atlanta.
Yes.
You may already know Elizabeth Miller, Happy Healthy Caregiver, who's in Marietta.
Yeah, I've heard of Elizabeth Miller.
Yeah. And there's a conference going on. Did you want to say anything about that? And for sure, put in your own information in these last moments.
So the conference going on is it's a lot of conferences going on. I have ASA conference in my head right now, taking place in San Francisco in March. But not that conference. There is the Dementia Summit conference going on here in Atlanta. I'm with Alter. One of the many hats that I wear in the community is I am the Director of Public Relations for the Alter program. And we go into African American churches and help them to create a dementia-friendly village in a sustainable dementia-friendly village and program, because people don't know that by the year 2030, almost half of Alzheimer's dementia cases will be that of Black and Brown Americans. And so we're trying to get it prepared. It's starting with our faith-based communities, because those are the trusted sources for many of our older adults. But that will take place April the 25th through the 27th here in Atlanta. Expecting all to come out, join us. You can pre-register at Alter, ALTER, dementia.com. You can find me personally on LinkedIn, Adrienne D. Jones, and visit my website. That is your home base, your link to every resource and everything. I have books under there. I have a free download, Caregiving 101, I Need Help. I have a book, a downloadable book, Quick Tips, Choosing the Right Home Care Agency, which is on sale for Christmas for $5 for the download.
Yeah,
but you can go to my website. You can go to my website, services with an S.com. And you will see Gero Juice as well, and the link to all of my shows. I'm transitioning platforms here in January, and it'll be on 2 platforms. And so continue to follow me and stay connected with me to find out what the new things are going to be. That's it in a nutshell. srconsultingservices.com.
You did great. Aging Better Network, you can find that I have a quick video and a page that I wrote having to do with elder abuse. And it's Declaration of Freedom. It's to get you and your team, your guardians, empowered. There's also 2 books there, one on grieving a lot of different ways. It is a really short book, and an expert here in Oregon said that with her clientele, she's already recommended it twice. She received it in October, and she's already recommended it twice, and it has or maybe more times, but twice the people have come back and said that it really resonated. And I'm like, again, just like Darlene, it made a difference in someone's life. And then my big book is the one that where you pre-plan your emotional intelligence, your relational resilience, as you peak at when in your bravest moments, peak at one of the 52 different aspects of aging, very general aspects of aging that I identified during my years of being a hired caregiver in homes. So I was with family and with their support. And what I saw happened again and again. And I thought, yeah, this shouldn't die with me. Somebody else needs to get a head start on being positive and proactive and roping that calf. So thank you so much, folks. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful new start to the year as you are pivoting. And I will get back to several of you because I'm thinking Darlene would just be a great person on the reluctant Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver. It's a podcast. And I'm just going, boy, that sounds real familiar right there. And Adrienne is nodding like she knows about that one with the Elliott sisters. So yippee! We are coming to the close of 2023. All of you, thank you for being the blessings that you are. Thank you so much. I love that you all met each other today and had so much in common.
Nice to meet all of you. You all continue to do great work.
I'll go message, and then I'll share your links out to our platforms and our people too. Bye-bye.
Woo, woo, woo! Happy birthday to you. And he put in some Christmas music at the end. Yay! Family's coming. We're doing some game playing, some table games today with family. We've already got some family here. They were very quiet during the broadcast. Thank you.